Welcome to day 17, and today we're reading from Genesis 18, and the story is called On the Way to Sodom. When Abraham's special visitors had rested and eaten their meal, they were ready to go on their journey again. Abraham went with them to set them on their way. After a time they reached a place where they could look down on the green plain of Jordan and see the twin cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Then God began to tell Abraham what he planned to do. Sodom and Gomorrah were wicked cities, he said. The people who live there are all kinds of cruel and do all kinds of cruel and bad things. They are so wicked that the only cure is to destroy them completely. The two angels walked on to visit Sodom for themselves. But God stayed talking to Abraham. Abraham did not want Sodom to be harmed. He thought of his nephew Lot living there with his family. So he pleaded to God to change his mind. Surely you don't want to kill good people along with bad people in Sodom, he asked God. You are the judge of the whole world. Surely you could not do anything so unfair. If there's 50 good people living in Sodom, I will not destroy the city, God promised. Abraham thought that there might not be as many as 50 good people there, but he went on asking God to spare the city. God said that he would not destroy Sodom if there were 10 good people living there. But God knew that Lot was the only good person in the city. He had already planned to rescue Lot and had sent his angels to visit him for that very purpose. Lost in thought, Abraham parted from his special visitor and walked back to his tent. What do you think about that then? So, Sodom was going to be destroyed because of all of the wicked and cruel things that were going on. And God knew, God had the foreknowledge that there was only one good person in Sodom and Gomorrah. So, the lesson for me is that God is a God who knows. He knows our thoughts, he knows our wishes, he knows our stresses, he knows our sufferings, he knows. And he knows the good and he knows the bad. Which side of the fence do you live on? Do you live on the good or do you live on the bad? And he's a forgiving God. So if you ask for forgiveness and repent and just say, you know, I'm really sorry, I have been living on the bad side and I've been doing bad things and thinking bad things and planning bad things and actioning bad things, and you realise that you've been doing all of those things, you can be saved. You can turn to God and you can surrender and say, I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't want to be one of those people that you would just destroy because of all the bad things I've done and continue to do. We all have that choice. God gave us that choice right at the very beginning when he created Adam and Eve. He gave them free will to choose, but he continues to be good and to be loving and to be supportive. And we choose to respond either to love him and respect him back, or we choose not to. We choose to ignore the goodness that he gives us. We choose to ignore the roof over our heads. We choose to ignore that we have some money in our pockets. We choose to ignore that there is food in the cupboards. It may not be the food that you want in your cupboard, but there's food in your cupboard. But we choose to ignore it and we choose to say, oh, God doesn't look after us. Look, what kind of God is that? No. We have choice. We have free will. And we have a choice to make. And that choice is, are we going to surrender and honour the God that made us, the God that made this earth, or are we going to live just for today and suffer the consequences? Because the consequences are vast. Remember, we're only on this earth for a short period of time. A very short period of time. Much shorter than the days of Noah, Jacob, Joseph, Abraham. They lived for many, many years. But we have a life after this life on earth. And so we have to consider our actions on earth, which will either open the door or close the door to eternity. A little bit deeper in my response today. But we have to think about these things. We have to think ahead and not just think about today. So with that in mind, I want you to have a blessed day, and we'll speak tomorrow.